Oh, what's good, everybody? Welcome into Primetime Early Edge. We're here every single primetime NFL night, and tonight is no different. We're counting down to Sunday Night Football, the Steelers and the Raiders. We're going back 51 years, 1972, the Immaculate Reception, Franco Harris, tip of the cap. Now, for the next 45 minutes or so, we break down everything from a coaching perspective, X's and O's, bets. If you have any questions on maybe some late fantasy, I don't know, put them into the chat. But before you do that, I need you to hit the like button for me. It's very, very important. These are big shows for us. It really helps the show grow. Now, normally we get right into Sunday Night Football, but today was absolute bananas. Absolute bananas. So I need to know what my crew thinks. Let's bring in the stars of the show. You know them. You love them. The best in the business. The counselor is here. AB is here. Parapi is here. Coach Phil is here. And gentlemen, before we get into tonight's game, today, banana land. Let me just give you a few examples, and I need to know the number one game that was the best for you, the craziest for you. How about the Dolphins scoring 70 today and beating the Broncos by 50? Hey, Sean Payton, maybe it wasn't all Nathaniel Hackett last year. 0-3. Thanks for coming. How about the Vikings? Or should we call them the bad news Bears? What a joke. The fact the over didn't come in and they didn't win, stop it already. How about the Cardinals? What are you going to say? They beat the Dallas Cowboys by 12 as 12-point underdogs. What about, the Chiefs? They led 34-0 at halftime. And somebody needs to teach Taylor Swift. When it's 41-0, you can't act like you just won the Super Bowl when your new man scores a touchdown. Let's relax just a little bit. So all that happened in the last 6 hours and more. So, Phil, let me tell you, your last NFL coaching job was with the Chargers. And I would contend that if the Vikings would have won the game today, that Staley should have been fired because of that fourth down call. What were your thoughts? And what's the one game that just made your head go boom today?
I think just talking about your question directly, the analytics, that's involved in some of the aggressive plays, it's more of a new generational, a new age type of philosophical belief. The guys that I came in this profession under are kind of traditional and old school, and that wouldn't be the choice that they would have made. Now, talking about something that was very, very exciting was watching Josh Dobbs. We didn't even know this guy's name. We had cast members not being able to pronounce this guy's name on the first week of the show, okay? Now he's out there. He beat the Dallas Cowboys, who we thought might have been the second-ranked power team in the NFC. What a moment for the Arizona Cardinals. And congratulations to Jonathan Gannon on his first career win.
I tell you what, and they're probably not even thinking about it, but they're up 28-7 on Sunday over the Giants. And they blew that lead. They could be 2-1 right now. Counselor, let me come to you. What did you make of today?
Coach, I think they could have been 3-0. Think about it. They should have beat Washington in week 1. At least you could make that argument. What I think is so interesting is that we have these narratives, and we're going to apply them tonight as well, where we think a certain division is great, like the NFC East, for example, and we think a certain team has no chance to win, like the Arizona Cardinals. And then we see what happened today to Washington, to the Dallas Cowboys. How good do we think the NFC East is this week versus last week versus week 1? And I think that's the beauty of betting and the beauty of these alleged trends is some of these trends are just kind of smoke and mirrors, and we get to dissect, well, what's actually true and what actually is just, in fact, smoke and mirrors.
I'm glad you said that. I had so many people tweet at me today, Coach, it's just the Bears. Relax. They're an NFL team. You still got to go out there and win, right? They still got to go out there and win. Cardinals, people thought they were as bad as the Bears at the start of the season. So here's what happens. All right, AB, your girl Rebecca says, hey, me and AB, we know Dobbs from Tennessee. Your thoughts on today, sir?
Yeah, Josh Dobbs, man, he's a phenomenal quarterback. The dude, he makes you believe. He's a great locker room guy. He absolutely is. That's why you see him bounce from team to team to team in terms of when they need a solid number 2. He's your guy. Now, here's the thing. I have now set a record on the early edge, and I don't know if it'll ever be beaten because, 6.5 hours ago, I told people to take the under in the Dolphins game. The under in the Dolphins game. So let me be the first to call myself out. And you know what I am?
We'll see it. Don't do it there.
I am a buffoon. So I want it known that, you know what? I put myself on the pedestal as the dumbest pick on the show of all time. Boys, good luck beating it. Good luck.
Dude, you only missed it by 80. Stop beating yourself
Yeah.
up. Stop beating yourself up. Now, I respect Proppy maybe as much as anybody that I work with. So there is no way, because normally that is my style, that I'm going to brag about winning a showdown. I'm not going to do that. Proppy, let me come to you. What did you make of what you saw today?
That Dolphins performance was absolutely unbelievable. Tip of the cap to Devon A-Chain, 18 carries, 200-plus yards, 2 rushing touchdowns, also had 2 receiving touchdowns. Raheem Mostert had 4 touchdowns. The backfield combined for 8 touchdowns. I have never seen that. Prior to today, Devon A-Chain had 1 carry for 5 yards. So talk about a coming out party in Miami. That was one of the most impressive performances offensively I have ever seen.
True respect for Proppy. He's already paid me for the showdown. But Carolina just scored a touchdown. They're getting ready to have an onside kick. The game is not over. They're down 10. Still a possibility. No timeouts. They got to get that. That's my alarm for get to Sunday Night Football. And that's exactly what we're going to do. So, AB, I don't know why I said AB, because I'm starting with Coach Phil's keys to the game. Tonight, little Chick-fil-A nugget on either side. The Steelers, 5-0 against the spread in their past 5 primetime games. The Raiders, the over has hit in their last 8 straight home primetime games. That's the longest streak in the NFL. And it's not close. I think next longest is 3 or 4. So, Phil, let me come to you, because these are 2 teams that really need a good offensive performance tonight, and they both need a win. Start us off.
Right. So just 2 1-1 teams. They're playing in Vegas. Everybody understands the implications when you go into these week 3 games. It really starts to solidify and clarify, the identity of these ball clubs. Pittsburgh defense, one of the keys I've been talking about all week, is they have to continue to force turnovers. They have 2 turnovers for touchdowns already this year. They have to steal the ball. They've been fantastic, in particular at home. That trend needs to continue while they're on the road. All right. And then the one thing that everybody is just all over right now is Pittsburgh's offense. Okay. They must show up tonight. They're ranking 30th in total offense, rushing, scoring. So there's a lot of pressure on that offense. And I've been on some offensive staffs before where you just are having a hard time getting a first down, and you have to try to find a way to move the ball. You cannot continue to leave the defense out to dry quite like they have been thus far.
All right, Phil will weigh in throughout the show whenever we need a little X's and O's. But let's start with that Pittsburgh offense, because Counselor, as I come to you, there is a name that's become very, very synonymous with production the last couple of years. And he plays for the Steelers, and you like him tonight. Who am I talking about?
Yeah, I'm talking about a guy that has barely piled up even 5 yards this season. It's Pat Freiermuth. I mean, I think what Phil mentioned just on the tail end of his statement there was really important. Like, when you think of the Pittsburgh offense and how miserable it is, just keep in mind if you were handpicking offenses or defenses not to play, it would probably be Cleveland and San Francisco. At least those would be 2 of the top 5 defenses you would not want to play as an offense as a young quarterback like Kenny Pickett. So I think this offense is going to flourish at least a little bit relative to the last couple of weeks. And I think Pat Freiermuth is going to be one of those reliable targets that Kenny Pickett is going to look for, especially because the pressure rate for the Raiders is not very good. Kenny Pickett's going to have a little bit more time to be comfortable in the pocket and just go to his safe option, Pat Freiermuth. So I have Pat Freiermuth over 31.5 receiving yards. This is 33.5 in some places, 31.5 in some places. I believe BetMGM and Caesars still have it at 31.5. I think he's going to get 3 to 4 catches, maybe more, maybe closer to 5. And I think he's going to surpass this 31.5 total. I will mention against the Raiders last year, he was very good. And the Raiders have been giving up a lot of production to tight ends only through 2 weeks, but 2 weeks nonetheless. And so I think this is a really smart play for Freiermuth, even though he's had a very troubling first 2 weeks.
The Bills scored 38 on this Raiders team just a week ago. Now, probably let me come to you, because everything that Phil's already said, and Phil, I got something for you coming up right now after Proppy, and everything that Sia just said, they need Jimmy G to play good tonight. But the lab tells me, at least what I'm looking at right now, you don't think he's going to have a big night as far as yards are concerned.
Yeah, I'm fading him under 240.5 passing yards. This number's still sitting close to this, around 237, 238. Certainly would suggest playing it at that number. Just a big number. He's failed to eclipse 200 yards in both starts this season. Now facing a Steelers defense that has been a massive run funnel. Their pass defense is good, actually. They're 8th in EPA allowed per drop back. They're also 5th in pass rush win grade. So they are getting to the quarterback very quickly. I think that's going to really affect Jimmy G, as it takes time for those routes to develop deep down the field for Jacoby Myers, for Devontae Adams. So I just think this prop is 20 to 25 yards too high. I think the Raiders are going to implement a run-heavy game plan. I think it sets up nicely for Josh Jacobs and company to really get going on the ground, something he's failed to do in his previous 2 starts. So I think there'll be minimal passing volume from the Raiders tonight, and as a result, it'll limit Jimmy Garoppolo's yards.
Proppy is rarely wrong, but Phil, I come back to you. How important is it for Jimmy G and Devontae Adams to get off tonight early?
Right, to kind of springboard off of what Proppy said, just with getting the run game going. Just think about when Jimmy G's been successful. All right, he's been successful with Kyle Shanahan with a great run game, and then he had play passes, quick games, and creative play designs. Josh McDaniels is a great play designer. We all know that, but you got to get the run game going, because that's going to alleviate the pressure off of Jimmy G. You do have a healthy Devontae Adams. I believe Jacoby Myers is back from the concussion, and Hunter Renfrow is one of the most dangerous slot performers in all of the NFL. So I'm looking forward to see what happens tonight.
All right. I need you guys to hit the like button. And if you're going to play with us at the top of the hour of the gym, then you need to start looking that up as well. So when you talk about running, Josh Jacobs, can anybody tell me how many yards Josh Jacobs had a week ago?
-2.
-2. Yeah, I think they need to get things going. Are you kidding me right now?
NFL's leading rusher last season.
I like the coach knew immediately. He was like, yep, -2. Yeah, we track it.
You got to do your research. I mean, you send those big packets for the show for a reason.
You're damn right. Proppy, what'd you say, bud?
I was just saying he was the NFL's leading rusher last season.
1,600 plus yards for sure.
They've got to get it going. Now, on the other side, you got Najee Harris, and he's been average at best out of qualified rushers, 44th out of 50. He's got to get it going on that side of the ball as well. So, AB, I know people love. They wait around all day. They send me tweets all the time. Coach, where's the no-fly zone? Where can't the guys throw the ball tonight? Well,
Coach, the no-fly zone is open for both of our guys tonight. And you know what? There are some trouble areas, but we have to find where those trouble areas are going to be. So first, let's pull up our man, Kenny Pickett here. So we're playing both quarterbacks to throw at least one interception. Kenny Pickett, I believe, is -110. Jimmy G is -115. Now, if this is your first time viewing the no-fly zone here, what you have on the left are the Raiders' defensive completion percentage ranks by position there on the field. All right. So it's a defense that honestly has not generated an interception once this season. That being said, though, all right, Kenny Pickett, take a look. The problem areas where he is going to have tonight is in between those short yardage passes and deep yardage passes there in the deep thirds. So across the middle here and on the right, they are going to be trouble because, quite frankly, can your offense really extend the field and do it consistently? Because all it takes is one. And you look at Kenny Pickett's interception splits this year. The first quarter, 66.7% of his picks have come then, and as well, 66.7% when playing from behind. Now, let's take a look at Jimmy G. So Garoppolo's is a little bit different, smaller sample size with a new team. So you'll see on the bottom right quadrant here, included what his pass chart looked like against the Bills last week. Both of these quarterbacks have thrown an interception in every game this season. They've both thrown 3 this year. You look at the Steelers defense on the left, short, good luck, buddy. They can jump, hitch routes, boom, pick you off, take it to the house quickly. So you see Jimmy G on the top right quadrant here. It's going to be short, quick passes when under pressure or throwing deep, both left side and right side. You look at him, 66.7% picks have come in the third quarter and on his own 21-50.
All right, let's put a pin in that for a second. Phil, what do you make of the no-fly zone tonight? Do you think both these quarterbacks are in danger of throwing a pick?
Yes, for 2 different reasons, though. For me, with Kenny Pickett, it's the amount of volume of passes and the types of passes that he's going to have to execute if they can't get this run game going. He'd have to throw the ball, more drop back stuff. And again, just like if you're going for it on a 4th down or you're behind it all, you're trying to fit it into real tight windows, the ball could be in jeopardy there. Looking at Jimmy Garoppolo, the thing that he has struggled with is when he's not on platform with his throws. And let me explain something to you. Those two ends, Highsmith and Watt, you will not be on platform for some of your throws. So just having to move up, step up, that's where Jimmy G has made those mistakes throwing the ball across his body. You're getting the ball tipped. It's been with great pass rush. So for two different reasons, I can see that being a probable statistic tonight.
All right. When you say platform, real quick, what do you mean platform?
Yeah. So when you're base, like, so when you're a basketball player, you're in a triple threat. That's basically your platform, right? So if you're a football player or quarterback, it's that area, right? That shoulder width apart where you can take your 3, 5, or 7 step drop, check, and then throw the football in rhythm. When you get pushed off your platform, it means you're wavering in there and the ball can kind of be a little bit more erratic, and it lowers your probability of success. Imagine having a chip shot with golf with a moving, fairway.
That's weird. I feel like that's what EC and Buckets does to me when I try to host the show and they're on as well. They throw me off my platform.
It's like you try to stand on a seesaw. Like you're just like, all right, what do I do?
All right.
Hey, and real quick. Sorry, Coach. Not to interrupt. Phil brought up an excellent point in regards to that with the pass volume tonight. That's exactly what we're looking at is, can both teams, I think that their approach is going to be, I'm not going to let you run the football and dictate and control the clock and control the pace and, quite frankly, control the game. I'm going to make you and your quarterback put it in the air. Exactly what we spoke about with what the Browns were going to do against the Titans. They ended up with 30 rushing yards because they said, you're not running the ball. Derrick Henry's not running the ball. You're going to have to beat us with Tannehill, and it's not going to happen. I think both teams, they try to approach it. Whether it's successful, we'll see. But great point by Phil. 100%.
Boy, I was off on that Titans game today. Golly, they looked awful.
But they can't run. They can't do anything. Yeah,
They can't. Counsel, let me come to you. We talked about all the players now as far as who's going to throw the football. But I'm looking at people in the chat are asking about George Pickens and his number 4.5, 53.5. He had a long touchdown last week against the Browns. What do you make of George Pickens tonight, Sia?
Yeah, I actually like George Pickens quite a bit tonight. And I think if I was going to defer to one of those two that you mentioned, I'd go with his yards. We know he can get down the field. And again, I do think Kenny Pickett's going to have a lot more time to throw and just kind of scan the field to his first, second, and third read. And I think Pickens is going to be among those top reads, obviously. I mean, we're going to be looking at Pickens down the field pretty much all the time when he's dropping back to pass. And we know Pickens can break one. He's so athletic. So the receptions, I'd probably lay off that 3.5, but I do like his yards. I think Pickens could have a really big game.
And another guy, when I was handicapping today, Jaylen Warren, and Proppy, let me come to you. His catch prop is over 2.5, minus 150. Through the first 2 games this year, he's had, I think, 4 and 5 catches respectively. Do you like Warren tonight?
I do like Warren. He's been the more explosive option between him and Najee Harris. He's got a more versatile 3-down skill set. They're targeting him in the short area. Passing game is almost an extension of the run game because their run game has been as ineffective as it's been. So I do like Warren. I think his role is going to continue to grow in this offense. He's certainly the more explosive option between Najee Harris as well. So I like him.
We have a hardcore question from the chat. Raving Derelict says, is Sia's hair combed the opposite direction, or am I more drunk than I normally am?
I hate to inform you, Raving, but you might be a little bit more inebriated than you normally are because this is just the standard helmet that I put on.
Yeah. All right. I know we got 2 more plays. You talk about being a little conservative tonight, AB, which could lead to punts, field goals. Talk to me.
You know it, Coach. That's exactly what we're looking at here. And we're going to put it up. So, all right, so we got Kenny Pickett, the pick. We've got Garoppolo, the pick. But, yes, total field goals, over 3.5. We're going to get that at plus money. And this is for both teams, all right? Could be the Raiders kicking 3, Steelers kicking 1. Could be the Steelers kicking 5, all right? I think that we're going to see offenses that get across the 50 and, quite frankly, run out of space, right? I think that especially in the red zone, if they can't run and can't get it in there, you're going to see McDaniels and you're going to see Tomlin. Oh, how did I miss Mike Tomlin say? You're going to see both of them try not to risk and throwing a pick and say, we can live with 3, get it done. So we're going to go with the field goals there. We're also going to play punts. Same deal. I think that you're going to see, especially early, if they can't run the football, you're going to see the clock slow down a bit. And I think that we're going to see pass attempts up on both sides, which will lead to more time, which will lead to over 8.5 punts.
All right. Now, I normally don't do this, guys, but I'm going to play tonight too, if you guys don't mind. I've got one play. And when I saw the number and I saw the juice, I was like, how am I not going to play this? TJ Watt, over half a sack, minus 125. He has 4 sacks. It's tied for the most in the league through 2 weeks. The man's an absolute beast. He had a scoop and score last week as well. Tonight is prime time. This is when he steps up the most. I love him to get 1 sack tonight, at least at minus 125. Phil, how dominant do you think on the defensive side of the ball TJ Watt and the Steelers will be tonight?
I think they have a great chance, but the one thing that they must do is shore up that run defense. I mean, at this point in time, they're 31st in the league. So that, when you're talking about Josh Jacobs, this is a litmus test at the moment that if you can't rush the ball against the 31st ranked defense in the league, then we might have some problems going forward. You know, when you hold out at training camp and things like that, there's a lot of things we can talk about when it takes a little bit longer than a month to hit your stride. But we're talking about Pittsburgh's defense, all right? And again, TJ Watt and his ability to create pressure is going to be a real problem tonight for Jimmy Garoppolo.
Somebody just said TJ Watt's a fraud in the chat.
A fraud.
A fraud.
If TJ Watt's a fraud, I want to be the biggest fraud in the world.
I'll stand right behind him, Proppy. Right behind him. All right. I want to talk total because several people in the chat are asking about the total tonight. We haven't talked about it at all. And, Counselor, I said at the top of the show, 8 straight primetime games for the Raiders have gone to the over. Do you think we could have a sneaky small shootout tonight?
100%. And it doesn't have much to do with the trend you mentioned, but yeah, I think both of these offenses are going to kind of find their legs here. I mean, the Steelers defense hasn't been great. They've got some injuries. You can run the ball on the Steelers, at least through the first 2 weeks. And then the Raiders defense really has nothing to show for itself. And I do think Kenny Pickett's going to start to look like the young quarterback that people thought he might be coming from Pittsburgh. So yeah, I like the over here. If I was going to bet it, it would be the over. I think we're looking at somewhere in the mid to high 40s here.
Okay, I like that too. I think it's fun. It's fun to bet the over when it's the only game of the night. Proppy, let me come to you because on the other side, we just had Phil talk about what Jimmy G and Davante Adams have to do tonight. They have to show out. And I believe the Raiders, where they are right now, know that. So Davante Adams, his number is 5.5, minus 147, pretty juicy. And his yardage is 76.5, minus 116 around there. Do you like Davante Adams tonight?
I don't mind Davante Adams tonight. I actually prefer Jacoby Myers tonight. One thing with this Raiders team, they have a heavily condensed target distribution. It's Jacoby Myers, it's Davante Adams, and then they dump off a bit to Josh Jacobs, who actually, for a running back, has a surprisingly high target floor. But really, Jimmy has not targeted any other receivers with any sort of meaningful volume or consistency this season. Also, we're talking about a small sample size, but in that first game with both Adams and Myers healthy, Jacoby Myers out-targeted, out-snapped Davante Adams, which was certainly surprising. They do have, obviously, familiarity going back to New England. Jimmy looked very comfortable throwing to Jacoby Myers. So considering the familiarity aspect, considering their history, their rapport, and he's at a big discount in comparison to Davante Adams, I actually look more towards Jacoby Myers tonight.
Yeah, 4.5 and 54.5 is his numbers. Which one do you like more, Proppy?
Probably the yards.
Yards. Okay, 54.5 there. Let me come to you, AB, because I love talking quarterbacks with you. We've already talked a lot about Jimmy G. We have a best bet, his under passing yards. Now, Pickett, his number is far less, 221.5 minus 125. Attempts, 31.5. Completions, 21.5. What do you think about Pickett's game tonight?
Yeah, so, Coach, I'll say this. I like the attempts, and I like the yardage, all right? Like, they're going to use the short yardage passing game at least to start this thing out, which will give him some, I'm going to say confidence, not that he needs it, but, you just kind of get in a rhythm, right? So you're going to steal a lot of numbers, both attempts, and completions, but the yardage will start to add up once they can kind of neutralize the Raiders pass rush, if, possible there. But yeah, if you could control the ends and he could step up in the pocket and deliver, he'll find more time. And you're going to get those short yardage routes that are going to turn into medium yardage routes. You're going to be able to hit some, posts here on the outside. Yeah. Give me the yardage. Give me the attempts.
As we feed into what could happen tonight, Phil, how much leash will, I guess, both offensive coordinators have if Josh Jacobs and Najee Harris are not going off? When will they say, you know what? we're just going to start throwing the rock.
When you look at the box count, like, so if they're overloading the box and they're committing more defenders to the run than you can block in the gaps, where it's just not sound football, then the sound answer, it's like there's too many in the front box. You got to throw the ball outside. It's like obvious football. But to me, that's really what it boils down to. If the box are overloaded and the quarterbacks can't make people pay on the perimeter, then you're going to have a really tough night.
Let me come to you, Counselor, because we've talked about Najee Harris, but we haven't even hit on his numbers, because the one thing, and I love when Proppy educates us on this. In fact, I'm going to go to Proppy right now because there's a lot of new people, and then I'll come back to you, Counselor. When we talk about overs a lot, but tonight there could be unders. Why do we play unders, and what is your take on an under?
Yeah, frankly, there's just a lot more ways for an under to come in versus an over, whether it be reduction of playing time, getting demoted, injury, versus an over where a lot of things have to go right, or you're looking for a specific game script. So yeah, just as far as unders are going to typically be the sharper play. If we look at historically as well, unders hit at a higher clip compared to overs, nearly 60 to 40% historically, which in large part is because the majority of action is also on over. So as a result, it inflates those numbers. So certainly a lot of value to be had with unders. It's kind of counterintuitive betting them, but it's definitely the sharper side.
And they're not nearly as much fun. That's why normally if I have like a soccer game that Buckets gives me, I won't even watch it. Go ahead.
I will say, Coach, you start with a win. So that to me is fun, and it's a guaranteed sweat almost always. So you just kind of have to like rewire the way you think about betting to have fun with unders.
I know you keep teaching me. You keep teaching me. So with all that being said, Counselor, Najee Harris is 50.5. His combo number is 64.5. That's a weird number for a guy who, if he starts going, he can hit this number easy.
Yeah, this is really interesting because there's a couple forces battling against each other. First of all, there's the speculative nature of just running back receptions, right? That Proppy always talks about. And then you have the Jaylen Warren experience where we think he's probably going to get like a 40-60 split. It could even be as high as 50-50 in terms of just being in the backfield, getting receiving attempts, but also rushing attempts. The problem is, on the other side of it, is the Raiders are allowing a lot of rush yards, but they're also allowing a lot to running backs from a reception standpoint. In fact, that's really where you're gashing the Raiders. It's not through the running game, it's through the receiving game from the running back. So if anything, I would be looking at Najee Harris's just his receiving total as opposed to his rushing and receiving.
I absolutely love it. We are crossing the top of the hour. Go ahead, AB.
Yeah, I just wanted to say real quick, while we're talking about rushing yards, Jimmy Garoppolo's rushing yards, his total is set at 4.5. And let me tell you, in the NFL, he is the best in the business in terms of the quarterback sneak. It used to be Tom Brady. He learned it from Tom Brady and the Patriots. If you face a lot of 3rd and 1s, I'm telling you, you're going to see this dude line up and go.
And you think we can get to 4.5 with
he may be running for his life. So
he could be running for his life. Probably go, big boy.
Just got to say, with those low numbers, you have to be very careful if his team ends up, or if Garoppolo ends up with 7-8 rushing yards and the Raiders end up winning the game. Kneels, exactly. Losing 3 yards on the final play is a terrible way to lose a rushing prop.
Never thought of that.
Yeah.
Now, you guys know, Kevin McKenzie in the chat. We love him. He's an OG. But Kevin, come on. He says, can we have some dialogue about Josh Jacobs? I know it's a key for the game, but do we see him hitting 71 yards? Probably see a kicker. We talked about him, Kevin, 30 minutes ago for 5 minutes. Get here on time.
Shout out Kevin. He's the man, though.
He is the man. I love Kevin. But come on, Kev. Now, as I look
he's just concerned.
He's
concerned. He has all these things we talked about, the holdout, the mindset, the conditioning element, the rough start. I'm just getting you caught up, Kev. All right, but I'm trying to get you caught up.
Hey, Alabama had a big win over Ole Miss. Jacobs is going to feel good about it. There you go.
But is he going to hit his number? That's the question. 71.5, 72.5.
That's a big number.
That's a big number for a guy who went -2 a week ago. Now, it is 8:01 in the East. It is 5:01 in the West, where I'm sitting right now alongside Prop Stars. And this is the fun part of the show. And if you're new to our brand, first of all, welcome. Love having you. But we like to play a little game because we love to brag. We love to tout each other. We like to tease each other back and forth. It's what we do, at least most of us. So we have a little thing called the gem, where you got to predict who's going to score the first touchdown of the game. It's got to be plus 1,000 or higher. You're not going to give me Devontae Adams. It's not going to work. And right now we have a very lonely counselor of cash sitting in the club all by himself. It's been a couple of weeks, and you've been popping bottle after. I'm amazed you even show up for work at this point. I'm amazed you
Me
show up
too.
for work. So, out of
Courage.
respect for the game, see ya. Where are we going tonight?
You guys think I'm going to gloat every single time here, but I'm not. I'm not going to gloat that I'm the only one in the club. So I'm going to continue with the theme here. I do think Kenny Pickett's going to have a little bit more time. I think we're going to see a reasonably good Pittsburgh Steelers offense. I think we're going to see some points in this game. And I think we're finally going to see the Pat Freiermuth that we know and love from last year and the year before. I think he is going to be a guy that's going to get potentially 5, 6, 7 targets in this game. And if that's the case, it wouldn't surprise me at all if Pat Freiermuth is the one that lands in the end zone for the first touchdown. He's plus 1,500. That's where I'm headed.
Whoa. That's exactly what I was going, Proppy. Exactly where I was going.
Excuse me, Cousin Sia, but I responded to the email first, and my pick was none other than the great Pat Freiermuth. So you're going to have to thank you, Phil. You're going to have to get in line, Sia, because Freiermuth belongs to
Here's the issue real quick. And Coach, I'll present it to you because you are our decision maker.
Okay.
Sia is the only one in the club. Until someone matches him and gets in, I feel like he can kind of pick whoever he wants.
No.
That wasn't the rule going into today.
I'm just putting it out there. Your decision.
No. It's whoever puts it in first. That's the rule.
It was 317
last week, and so I know his email got lost in spam because we didn't.
That's also a problem.
All right, so see, I'm gonna let you pick another one. You can find it real quick. We'll go through all the rest of them. But Alex had it sent in literally 30 seconds after the email came out. He did. All right, so Proppy, clearly C is in your boat.
I'm in.
I wish I could just play a recording back of Sia's eloquent take on why Pat Freiermuth is such a great shot to get into the end zone. Couldn't have said it better myself. Love the spot for Pat Freiermuth. It's been a just disastrous start to the season for him. I'm still encouraged, still bullish on Pat Freiermuth. He still has great route participation. He's dealt with some injuries. This is a great spot, great matchup, has minimal target competition as well, looking at the rest of his teammates, no Deontay Johnson. So I think he will be the first read when they get down into the red zone. So I love Pat Freiermuth tonight.
I love Rebecca in the chat. She said, first come, first serve. You're damn right, Rebecca. That's how we play this game. All right, Phil, we already talked about your guy. Tell me why Jaylen Warren could find the end zone tonight.
Yeah, so I thought the Proppy and Sia did a great job of talking about the carry distributions as that may unfold tonight. Jaylen Warren averages 5.7 yards per touch, which is ninth most in the NFL since he came into the league in 2022. So I'm really excited about seeing what this young guy can do, and he's explosive. It kind of reminds me when we had Melvin Gordon as the primary big back, and then Austin Eckler was like the young up-and-coming guy who got the secondary touches, has that similar type of explosion, in the 1-2 thunder and lightning type production value.
Thunder and lightning. I love that. All right, so Proppy's gone with Freiermuth. We got Jaylen Warren. AB, Jacoby Myers. Phil thinks that Jacoby Myers could be the guy tonight.
Yeah, I think he is. And let me just say this, man. I've been betting on sports since I had people drop their parlay cards in my locker in high school before practice on Fridays, right? Look, man, dude, whoever Sia picks is going to hit. It's going to hit. I think it's going to hit. I'm telling you.
And I've already got him, and he's going to hit.
It's going to hit. I'm going with Jacoby Myers. Look, because everything, and Props nailed it in regards to his role on this team and how many,
targets.
Distribution. Yeah, targets towards him. He's basically taken over the Hunter Renfrow role, and he has a quarterback that knew him from New England and a head coach that knew him from New England. What I mean is familiarity where it matters the most in the red zone. I'm going Myers. And I'm going whoever Sia picks. I'm just
gave him a big contract as well.
Yep.
No doubt. So I'll quickly go, and then I'll bring it back to the counselor. I'm going to go with George Pickens. I couldn't believe that he was at plus 1,100. I'll be honest with you. But I scooped it right up right after probably seeing his play. So George Pickens last week, he went bananas. He went 70-some yards to the hoops. Tonight, we can see more of the same. Give me George Pickens and let me get into the club and kick it with my man, the counselor. See ya? Who do you got?
So I did mention how Kenny Pickett would be able to scan the field a little bit. And while I do think Pat Freiermuth is an excellent candidate, if you're scanning the field, you're also going to your second and third read. And I don't know if you all remember that guy, Deontay Johnson, but he's injured. And the guy that's virtually stepping into his shoes from a target standpoint is Calvin Austin at plus 2,500. I see Eric David in the chat. He's on it as well. Calvin Austin. And by the way, I'm just to be really specific, since I made the blunder of stealing Proppy's pick. It's going to be about a 40-yard catch for a touchdown. Calvin Austin. Take it to the bank, plus 2,500. You're welcome, everybody.
I love you so much. I literally, of all the people that I've ever worked with in my entire career, ESPN, WWE, you are one of them. It's incredible. It's incredible. Nobody got that joke. Okay. So we're about 7 minutes past the hour, which means we only have about 8 minutes till the start of the show. So we're going to quickly go back through our best bets, tell you what we're looking forward to. Then we're going to get the hell out of Dodge and watch the game and cash more tickets tonight. So quickly, 10 or 15 seconds, guys, is all I need on each play. Proppy, start us off.
Yeah, I'm going to fade Jimmy Garoppolo under 240.5 passing yards. The Steelers' pass defense is good, 8th in EPA allowed per dropback, 5th in pass rush win rate. I think passing volume is going to be at a minimum for the Raiders tonight. As a result, he's going to go under this number.
What would you play it down to?
231, 232.
Boom. I just nailed it at 237. Thank you very much. By the way, the great Steve Scott is in the chat right now. You have any golf questions for him, Ryder Cup? Throw them in there. I'll answer them in real time. See ya. What do you got tonight?
I've got the Raiders, who aren't very good at defending the tight end. So give me Pat Freiermuth over 31.5 yards. I noticed this line has moved. I'd play it up to 33.5. But yeah, tight ends do a lot of damage against the Raiders. And I think we're going to see some semblance of an offense. Don't forget those first 2 weeks against that Pittsburgh played. It was against Cleveland and San Francisco. Those are really tough matchups. This is the opposite of that.
Oh, I'm getting in right now. I'm getting in at 33 exactly. See you 33 exactly. Oh, I just say the line has changed as well. All right, so Proppy's in. Sia's in. EC's on Jalen Warren over 2.5 receptions. You could have got that if you're a SportsLine member. I'm on TJ Watt. At least 1 sack tonight. He has 4 already through the first 2 weeks. AB, go.
Yep. Both quarterbacks throwing an interception tonight, Jimmy G and Kenny Pickett. We're going with total game punts over 8.5. Total game field goals over 3.5.
I absolutely love it. Another great show. We're here every single day at 10 a.m. Eastern time, every single prime time night, Sunday nights, Monday nights, and Thursday nights. By the way, tomorrow, another special start time with me and the crew, 6 p.m. Eastern, 2 more Monday night games at 7:15, 8:15. We'll break down both of them for you right here on Primetime Early Edge. Now, all of you know that I like to end every one of these primetime shows asking my guys, my crew, what's the number one most important thing they're looking forward to tonight? Use it for tonight or into the future. Counselor, start us off.
Yeah, I think this is a really unique live betting opportunity because we're not exactly sure what to expect from each of these teams. So, I mean, let's see the pace of the game, the pace of the offense in particular. There might be a live over or perhaps under in play here. Or if the Steelers look like who people thought the Steelers were going to look like in the preseason, maybe it's a good opportunity at some point in the first quarter to take the Steelers live.
You have to be watching the game because live betting, that's the only way that it works. And Follow My Guys are the best at it as well. AB, talk to me.
Yep, this is the Steelers' first game on the road. Both of their first 2 were at home. And this is Jimmy G's first game at home. He's never played there as the starting quarterback in the big Roomba there in Las Vegas. So fascinated to see if there's any weird, quirky starts to this game.
Apparently, Vegas is going to be a lot like Arizona was today. A lot of terrible towels. There was a ton of Dallas fans in Arizona today. They planned these trips way in advance, so expect it to sound like a home game tonight. Proppy, you're up.
Yeah, I think we all get a lot smarter listening to Phil's insight, very unique perspective. I thought he made an amazing point when he talked about how we're going to learn a lot about these teams, as the teams have not been very good so far. Now we're going to see a Pittsburgh passing offense that has been one of the league's worst, facing off against one of the league's worst pass defenses. So if this Pittsburgh team cannot throw the ball against this Raiders pass defense, they're in trouble. On the other side, we're going to see if this Raiders team can run the ball against the Steelers rush defense that has not been good. Again, if they're unable to, it is certainly a bad indicator for these teams for the rest of the season.
Educate and entertain. That's what we're all trying to do from all the different angles. Thank you for the compliment towards Phil. Coach Phil, talk to me.
Yeah, so for me, it's just the development and ascending nature of George Pickens as a wide receiver. Typically, as young, big body receivers, it's always vertical balls down the field, 50-50, going up and getting the ball. Last week was the first time I saw him run an in-breaking route and then show the speed, the run after catch, and all that dynamic energy that he had to score that touchdown. So now as he starts to develop, he'll start in-breaking routes more, the slants, all these deep digs. And that's when he could start to really ascend and start to separate yourself as the top half of the league receiver when you start to do the multitude of routes that he's been doing over the last, 2 weeks in particular. So tonight I'm looking to see if he can stack another game on top of what he just did.
Y'all got to listen. You got to tune in. You got to listen live. You cannot go into the streets and not be educated. My guys are the absolute very best. What I'm looking forward to tonight is simply this. How do the Steelers respond when they have an opportunity to be in first place when this thing's all said and done? The Ravens lost today. Bengals haven't been any good. The Browns are 2-1. So the Steelers, they have a chance. And we know in these divisions, you cannot give games away because when we get to December and early January, you look back and go, oh, we should have won that one. Can the Steelers win a game that they're an underdog in technically, but I think they're the better team? We'll find out tonight. Once again, we'll be back live tomorrow at 6 p.m. and also in the morning at 10 a.m. Eastern time. We thank you all so very much for tuning in and finding us every single time we come on the air. Can't do without you. True. So with all that being said, there's only one thing left to do, and I believe you all know what that is. You've got your marching orders. Let's take all of these Sunday night football tickets straight to the pay window. Brian Tyker, Lobo, Counselor, AB, Proppy, Coach Phil. I am simply the coach, trying to keep this train on said track. We grind for you so we can win with you. Let's have a night. Let's go. Pay it forward. Be kind to one another. It's what we're all about right here. Early Edge. Good luck.